Greetings, beloveds. This is poet educator Kamaya Lizette, representing for St. Lucia and the voice for Piff all the way in London, UK. You are watching The Piff Connection on UCCN TV.
Family, peace and blessings. It's Brother Ed UMOJA. We're still here in Brooklyn at Martial Arts USA on Washington Avenue. Have a grandmaster here with me I have known for several years. And Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad, I asked him not to put his gi on because one thing we want to show is that grandmasters have a responsibility in our community for three things: mental, physical, and spiritual. So today, the gathering of grandmasters here, Brother Grandmaster Anthony is here. So we're going to have him introduce himself, what he does, and outside of the dojo. We know what he does in the dojo. We're going to touch on that, but we want to talk about outside the dojo. Brother Grandmaster Anthony, welcome to the Piff Connection and Martial Arts USA. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I came to New York just to be with Grandmaster Bill, just to be with Grandmaster Bill and to share whatever it is that I can, today.
And let me take a step back and let me greet him. And I respect all. I do my best to as a Kemetic elder. I do my best to respect all levels. So I'm going to greet him properly and say Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah. And so let's talk about this, Grandmaster. You've been around for many years, about 3-4 decades in the martial arts. Where we are right now with the martial arts and what we see in our community, what do you feel your responsibility is outside of the dojo?
Well, first off, I've been in just a little over 50 years now in the art, and in terms of our responsibility is not to teach or just to teach in a dojo. Our responsibility is to change the condition of our community, to aid them to be able to defend themselves, but more so not defending themselves just in a physical way. It's a physical art that we teach, but there is, as you said, a mental and a spiritual aspect to it, because the physical is the least of the three, but the spiritual and the mental is what we need to deal with, because the conditions of the mind produces the actions. There's a statement, a phrase that's as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if we can change the thinking of a person, we can change their reality and their activity.
You said that I'm smiling to myself as I said that because I remember Al Malik El Shabazz, Brother Malcolm X spoke about that from when he went from prison, coming out of prison, and the mentality changing the heart, the minds. So we're talking about this, Grandmaster, and that's very important because when you go out, when you put your gi on, you go on the mat, people see you as a martial artist, but what I listened to you several times before you teaching, and you're giving knowledge that's not about physical, but is helping the physical be better. Let's talk a little bit about that. When you're on the mat now, what clicks in you that makes you do what you do?
Well, the student, the person that is present, that's listening to you. Sometimes there are those who go out on the floor and they present themselves and perhaps expect for the student to just accept them. But what I do, and I've been taught by greats, of course, Dr. Moses Powell, but my spiritual teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is one who is committed to teaching the people, but he doesn't teach them just from his level. He comes down into wherever they are and speaks to them. So that's my objective. My objective, when I'm teaching the art and I get on the mat, I'm looking to see where they are so that I can get them to understand, but I can't make anyone understand. So that means if I can't connect with where they are and what they're thinking, then I cannot teach the art. So teaching is not presenting. Teaching is connecting.
I love it. You talk about the Minister Farrakhan, and one thing I love about when I listen to Minister Farrakhan talk, as a Muslim, but he goes across to Christianity and he
Absolutely
connects it. And one thing you talk about, and he's making that connection. And if your heart is open, you will hear what he's saying, that connection. So that's very powerful. You just said that because that's one of the things I like when he speaks. He could go into the Christian Bible with ease as he could go into the Quran.
And you know, I would say this. You're absolutely correct. See, we have a misunderstanding. I believe there's a misunderstanding when the statement of speaking in tongues.
All right now,
Speaking.
Grandmaster.
See, speaking in tongues, you know, and that's what I attempt to do on the mat, because the tongue represents a language.
Yes.
Language is not verbal necessarily. Language is how you think.
Yes.
How a person thinks is a language, because I can tell, I can begin to teach a rollout, and I'm teaching the rollout perfectly because I know it.
You know it. Yes, sir.
But when I teach it, I'm looking to see how the student receives it, because how they receive it is a language.
Yes.
So if I can speak their language,
Yes,
see, so I may have to tell them to do something almost totally wrong. But it's only because of how they think. So when I teach them to roll out, and I want them to go straight, and I want them to roll on the bridge of their arm and come out in a particular way, but they don't come out in that way. So what happens is they, when I see their body moving toward the left, I then begin to speak based on how they're moving to get them to move straight. They don't understand necessarily the verbal, so I have to say it so they understand it. So I need you to take your body and take it further right, which is not correct for someone else that's doing it correctly.
Correct. Yeah.
See, so that language, if somebody else listens to me, they'll do it wrong.
Right. But you are observing the student, what the student's doing.
Exactly.
So you are communicating with them on that level.
That's right.
And, you see, and what Grandmaster's talking about right is so powerful, because as a Grandmaster, that's his job, is to see how do he communicate with the student.
That's exactly right.
And here, the gathering Grandmasters today here in Brooklyn, I'm looking at it, I'm saying, wow, all these Grandmasters are coming together. It's like, I hope someone has some taking notes.
and that's something that I tell my students. I mean, I urge them, bring a pad to the mat.
Yes.
Because after we do what we do, you need to write it down.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You know, you need to write it down, because later on, and not only just write it down, you got to go back to it, because as your thinking changes, your understanding changes. And if you wait too long before you look back at the material, you won't even understand what you wrote.
Exactly. And that's school. You go to college. That's school.
That's right.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. I thank you for your time. I thank you so much for saying that, because for me, it's more than just the math. It's what happens outside in the community that makes our neighborhood so powerful.
Yes.
So when we see our neighborhood falling down, say, where are the Grandmasters? Not only in Marshall, but with the teachers and stuff.
That's right.
Where are they? Because the community cannot stand up if we don't have Grandmasters in the community to help us stand up. Where's our foundation? So I thank you for saying that. I'm going to ask you to give your contact information for those who are listening, watching this. How can they reach you, and your parting words before we get you on the mat?
Absolutely. Well, again, my name, Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad. I'm out of Chicago, but I have expanded the reach because I have to touch more people. So we have a website where you actually can log on and actually join and become a student. Yes, and it's called VSK University. So it's www.vskuniversity.com.
Okay.
And
I know the VS, for those who are watching who don't understand the VS, what does the VSK stand for?
Well, VSK is only acronyms, and they are the acronyms that I was birthed through. I came in as a student under Sanukis, under Doc directly, but he introduced me to these others, which is another of his student, Soke Little John Davis, and his teacher, Grand Professor Florinda Visitacion. So all I did was bring those letters, those systems together. It's not a comprehensive of anyone. It is collaborative. What I understood with Doc said Sanukis. I am Sanukis, which he was speaking. And I didn't understand for some time. You know, I really didn't understand until he passed, truthfully, when I started to look into it. So, but I realized that Sanukis is him because it's his collaboration of everything that he had. So his presentation was him. So we study not Sanukis, we study Doc. See, so if you are studying Doc, see, that's what you're doing. So all I did was bring those letters together. V as for Vijitsu Te, S for Sanukis Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, and K for Kumite Ryu Jiu-Jitsu from Soke Little John Davis. So that's all it is. It was just really a humble bow to them all to say that I respect the lineage in which I come from.
You see, teaching. That's what grandmasters do, and I thank you for that because I've seen the VSK, I know what it stood for, but listening to you say it right now, I got a better understanding of it. So thank you so much. So this is Brother Ed UMOJA. We're here in Brooklyn with Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad at the gathering of the Grandmasters. We'll be all here all day, meeting them, talking to them. We thank him for his time. He's about to put his gi on and get on the mat. So we thank everyone for watching the Piff Connection and Action Martial Arts Magazine. Yes, sir.
I just want to lastly say, see, on the mat really should be on the mind. You know, so because on the mat, you know, if we are not able to even do what we do on the mat, kick and punch, we still should be able to think. And on the mat, we still should be able to learn. There are people that are paraplegic that are still capable of working because they can think. So on the mat is really on the mind.
Grandmaster teaching, family. Get in touch with him. Thank you so much, Grandmaster.
Thank you.
Okay.